The VCT Ascension Pacific got off to kind of a rocky start with all of its technical issues, but the games have been pretty great since then. Both the groups have had some pretty great bangers. From Bleed vs Orangutans' incredibly close matchup showing South Asia's potential, which unfortunately didn't see any win go their way, to Bonkers making it to playoffs without any organizational support, in which they also beat the Korean Giants D plus 2-0 and knocked them out. From the rise of Nows, where they rolled over Fancy and Boom, to one team's crazy 2-1 win over Boom, but still not being able to qualify. It's been a crazy group stage here at the Pacific, to say the least. But at the end of it all, we found our final 6 teams, and only one of these are going to be joining the Eternals of Valorant at the VCT Pacific League in the 2024 season and fight at the very top. But how is it all going to end in Thailand for these teams? Well, here's my conclusion based on the group stages as to how the first ever VCT Ascension Pacific will end. Before we go ahead, please do hit that subscribe button. I'm really close to hitting 2,000 subscribers and have loved the support from you guys so far. Thank you, and let's get back into the video. Scars versus Fancy. I think this is going to be a really great and entertaining matchup. Fancy and Scars are both teams with a lot of firepower, a little bit of craziness alongside discipline as well. They're really well suited to playing on the chaotic aggression when needed, but Fancy in the recent past have developed a more controlled approach with them shifting onto the double controller meta. They've stuck with the Viper as a constant in their lineup, playing her in every single map they've played in the group stage. They did have their moments of weakness shown because they were a bit predictable at times, and that's why I believe Scars will move on ahead in this game, taking Fancy down 2-1, who've been a lot better so far. Boom versus Bonkers. Unfortunately, as much as we all love Bonkers for who they are and what they've done so far, how far they've come without any organization helping them, crowdfunding their entire VCT campaign, this unfortunately will be the end of the road for them. Yes, they are the people's champions. Yes, they've got a really good and lovable team. But Boom are a very well cemented international team who've played on the biggest stage of Valorant. They've got players who are absolutely cracked with not just their aim but also their brain. Although Boom had a surprise loss against one team, they've picked up the pace since then and have been consequently better. They've got experience as well as firepower and will definitely be ones to move forward from this matchup. If Bonkers do prove me wrong, I'll be nothing but happy, but by the looks of it right now, Boom are the ones to face Bleed. Nows versus Scars. Now, while Scars will be coming into this with hot red form, I believe that Nows, based on how they've worked on their entire group stage, will be giving them their biggest challenge. Now, both these teams have immense chemistry between their players, and that's their biggest advantage. They play really well off of each other's strengths and their utility usage is top notch. But I think that the Philippine champs should be taking this one as they have been pretty mind-blowing. Yes, Nows can be really unpredictable on some days, but I believe that this will be their rise to the top as they will win this one 2-1 and head to the finals. Bleed versus Boom. Now this is a game of the giants. A semi-final that could be a final on any day. Two of the biggest teams of the SEA in the last 2 years who have been touted as the favourites to win it all this Ascension, but unfortunately only one can go through. And these two teams are completely familiar with each other, having played against each other on multiple occasions. While Boom were a little shaky in the start, they did pick up their form and have done massively well towards the end of the group stage. Juicy and Famous have been at their absolute best, bar a few games here and there, and are both now going head to head. Both of them are in the top 3 killers of the tournament so far. But there can only be one winner, and for me, that is going to be Bleed. They've been the better team so far this tournament, and while they too have had a few scares along the way, they've managed to be slightly better than Boom this time, and that's why I think they'll move ahead into the finals in a very close to 1 scored match. Bleed versus Nows. The grand final will have the Philippine Giants go up against the Singaporean favourites. Coming into this tournament, a lot of people thought that D+ from Korea will probably be here or Boom. But as it looks, both the top seeds from their group, Bleed and Nows, will face off against each other in the final, according to me. It will be a battle that will either end in an astounding 3-0 or a rigorous 3-2 and nothing else. Both these teams have been absolutely great with a few sidesteps, but overall, they are currently looking as the favourites to make it to the Pacific. And in my books, it has to and will be Bleed Esports. There will be blood drawn from them, don't get me wrong. But I believe Bleed have a better squad and consistency is one of their main strengths. They've got players who can step up individually across the board, who on any map can become the star player. And I'm going to say that in 2024, they will be the ones in the VCT Pacific League joining the Tier 1 squads.
On the scars, and they will stain the record of such a stellar squad. It's Bleed who's flawless instead.
What a way to do it here.